perfect mess is my perfect mess. Perfect mess is my perfect mess.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Perfect Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Ray Molina, and this is episode 48. Before we jump off into everything, I want to go ahead and get you guys locked into my social media so you guys can keep in touch with what I'm doing. My website is raymolina.com. You can log on and check out anything I have there, merchandise. You can listen to the podcast there, watch videos. You can check out the books that I'm reading. Anything that I'm doing with regards to my small business that I have and whatnot, you can all find that there at raymolina.com. My Instagram is It's Ray Molina, and the podcast Instagram is The Perfect Mess Pod. Let's see, what else? I'm on TikTok now, which is something new for me, so I'm getting used to that. It's slowly growing, which is kind of cool. But you can check me out on TikTok at It's Ray Molina, same as my Instagram. And basically I use that for the podcast to promote the podcast, share clips from the podcast and whatnot. And it's starting to grow. I think I'm just about at 100 followers and I haven't even been on very long. So check that out. And for those who like to donate, I have had a few donators and I really appreciate you guys. Like I said, it's not a requirement, but it is always appreciated because I am trying to grow this thing, and all of you guys who have been donating, I thank you so much. You can donate if you'd like. I have Cash App. It's $ It's Ray Molina. If you don't have Cash App and you would still like to find a way to donate, I do Venmo, Zelle, and PayPal and all that other stuff. But you can DM me on my Instagram and we can go from there. All right. Other than that, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're healthy. I hope your families are good. I hope you're in good spirits. And, I hope everybody is powering through this, whatever we want to call it now. I don't even know if it's a pandemic anymore. I think it feels like we're coming out of it, and then we get yanked back in by a few little things that are lingering, right? But I hope you guys are doing well and you're in good spirits. So let's catch up, man. The title of this podcast is Time is a Gift, right? Excuse me, getting my coffee. I'd like to say morning coffee, but I did start it in the morning, but it's in the afternoon now. So sipping on some coffee and getting ready to do this podcast. I always talk about the freedom of my job and what I do for a living and the sacrifices that I've made in my personal life in order to have freedom and time with my kids and my family. And that was never more evident than this past week that I spent. My mom was in town. My mom came into town, and we hadn't seen her, or I hadn't seen her. Yeah, we hadn't seen her in 3 years. And that got prolonged because of the pandemic. There was no traveling, everything going on. You guys know I'm preaching to the choir. But that was difficult to do and to see because of all the traveling restrictions. She lives out in Colorado. I think I've shared that with you guys a few times. But yeah, my time and my job was never more evident why I do it than this last week. I have made sacrifices financially and personally with my personal life and dating and doing things that I don't know, are kind of feel good things. You know what I mean? In order to have time with my kids, having a small business, being able to work for myself, doing a little bit of driving on the, rideshare driving on the side. These are two things that I enjoy doing. But what I enjoy most about them is that they give me time. They give me the flexibility to go into work when I need to go into work, or when I feel like going into work, instead of being told when I need to be there. these things give me the freedom to spend time with my kids, to be there during these years where they're really impressionable. These are these are the times when they need these lessons, when they need time with their family, with their dad, with their mom. And I just you never get these years back, and these are the most important years. So for me, it was a sacrifice of not having that formatted 9 to 5, where yeah, I may be making a lot more money, but I'm also spending a lot more time at a business that at the drop of a hat could cut me and tell me, hey, your services are no longer needed, and then I'm stuck. Which I told you in this podcast, I've been through before. I've been laid off before, after giving a company 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years of my life, and just being told, hey, we're done. We're going to eliminate your department or whatever it is. So doing what I do today is important to me. Like I said, financially, I took a hit, but I'm willing to do that for the greater good of spending time and creating memories and helping my kids grow, and giving them the knowledge and being there to support them as they grow up. And going back to this trip that that my mom made to come down. She brought my niece with her to come down. That was very important to me, and I'm gonna share with you why it was very beneficial for me to have the schedule that I have to make this trip happen. Um, I want to talk to you more about living in your past, or thinking about the past, maybe the struggles you've had with family, the struggles that you've had with maybe some trauma that happened in your life, or maybe things that you just wish you could fix, or you could get that back and make it better. I used to struggle with that, and to be honest with you, I still struggle with that from time to time. There are things that I wish I could go back to in my life that I could fix, because sometimes there are things that you feel like an apology is just not going to be good enough. But what I want to share with you is that time has passed, and it's not worth living there. It's, I have to remind myself all the time that I can't go back and fix all that. I can't get that time back and try to make all these things right. All I can do is, if I've hurt somebody, if I've went through something and someone needs to apologize to me or has apologized to me, I can't keep holding on to that grudge. I can't keep holding on to that moment in time that wasn't very good. Whatever it may be, everybody has their things and their moments in time where they're just like, man, I hated that point in my life. Or damn, I wish I could go back and make that right. Time is once it's happened, it's over. I have had to apologize to people for things that I've done in my past. Um, some people have accepted my apologies, some haven't. Some had said, cool, great, and kept it moving. That's just what it is. And I've also had to be the one forgiving people for things that they did to me in my past, things that I struggled with. And that's not easy. That's very, very hard. So I've had to remind myself daily that time is precious and it's right now. It's a gift. Every day you wake up. Some days are bad, some days are good, some days you're like, eh. But the minute you wake up, you have to be thankful that you opened your eyes and you have a chance to live your next day. I know that's really cliche. I know everybody says that, but I'm telling you from experience, it's very, very important. Very important. And I wanted to share that with you. So let's talk about this trip with my mom. Give me 1 second. All right. So my mom and niece came into town for 4 days. after 3 years. Now, mind you, they were supposed to be here for a week. And then with all the stuff going on with the airlines, uh, their flight was canceled and then rebooked at an earlier time. And they didn't send my mom and my niece the notice with enough time for them to prepare to get to the airport on their time. They were supposed to leave at night. They changed their flight to an early morning flight and they missed their flight. So they had to rebook and come back to the airport 2 days after and fly out. So we lost a couple of days on their trip. So my mom, like most moms, especially if they haven't seen their kids in a couple of years, you took 2 days away from her trip, and it really bummed her out. But I told my mom on the phone, and mind you, I didn't know how I was going to do this. I just knew that I was going to do it. How? I have no idea. But I told my mom, don't worry. We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it work. I promise you. All right? Don't cry. We're gonna squeeze all this time, all these things in these 4 days, and we're gonna make those 4 days magic. All right. Now, mind you, I got off the phone and I said, "Damn, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how I'm gonna do this." So what I did was, I grinded my butt off before they got in town. So I had 2 more days. I'm like, okay, they get here in 2 days. If you notice not that it's fancy, but I moved some things around the house to accommodate my mom coming in town, so there was a room because my kids were going to be staying with me all week so they could spend the most time with their grandma as possible. But I did that, and then I grinded, literally, was knocking jobs out, was ride sharing, was doing all the things that I needed to do just to make sure, like, I was financially set to, have a good week, but now that I had 2 more days, I wanted to make sure that I made even more money to where I could really, really show them a good time. So I did that. I busted my butt, grinded, and for the 2 days that they weren't here. And by the time they came into town, I was in a better position to even, make those 4 days an even more special time for them. I gotta be real with you, and if you follow me on Instagram, you'll notice that we fit in a lifetime in that 4 days. All right. And here's the thing, my kids, man, I want to give a shout out to my 2 sons, man, Jordan and Jaden. They knew the job. They knew the task. They knew this last week was going to be very demanding. It was going to be a lot in 4 days. And I said, hey, we're going to need whatever you can do with homework in school. Try to knock it out as much as you can. If you can't do that when you get home, we'll knock it out right when you get off, and then we'll get to everything. I was going to take them out of school for a day so they could spend the entire day with us and go, take a trip and whatever. But I said, you know what? I don't want to do that. Let's knock out school and we're going to make it work. So we did that. The reason why I want to shout out my sons is because these boys, I am absolutely proud of them. These boys busted their butt in class. Besides the first day, Jordan had maybe 1 hour of homework that he had to do, and it wasn't anything hard. He had 1 hour of homework to do. Aside from that, the entire week, these kids, I picked them up from school. They had their homework done. They were using the spare time that they had in class on their breaks and whatnot to knock out their homework. And I was so proud of them because they knew that if they knocked it out in class and they got off, they had more time with their grandma and my niece to spend time to do fun things. So they knew, hey, if I do this at class and I knock it out, when my nana and my dad pick me up, we're straight to fun. We're gonna go have fun, and they did it. Now, mind you, I checked to make sure they did, make sure to do all their work, and they did. I'm so proud of them. It's just something you can't really teach kids, man. I guess you can teach kids that, but most kids are, they get stressed out over homework. Like, I don't have enough time. I want to play at school. I'll just do it when I get home. I'm so proud of them because they took it upon themselves to know that, man, we got 4 days. Let's knock this out so we can have fun. And it just makes me so proud. Uh, in between everything that we were doing with my mom and my niece being in town, I worked. I worked when everybody was sleeping, and I worked, every now and then I would drop an hour in or something when, my mom and my niece were still resting in the morning or whatever. I would say, okay, I'm going to be right back. I got to go handle something. And what I mean by that is I had a couple of installs that I needed to do. So I knocked those out while it was still early morning. Um, I've had some design work that I needed to do, so I knocked that out in between. And then when everybody was sleeping, after the day of us doing everything that you saw us doing on Instagram that I was sharing, while everybody was sleeping, I would go out and then I would ride share. Why? Because life doesn't stop, right? Your bills keep coming in. They don't stop. They don't care if mom's in town after 3 years. They don't care that family's there. They keep coming and they say, guess what? I need my money. So I worked in between because I knew 4 days. Yeah, I'm gonna be tired when this is all done, but this has got to be done. So I did it. Um, don't get me wrong. I was extremely tired. I was living off coffee and a couple of energy drinks all week. And I needed to do that in order to get through the week because I wanted to make sure that I was alert and active the entire time. I didn't want to be lazy. I didn't want to be, doing the minimum while they were here. My niece had some things she wanted to do and see. My mom did, and I wanted to make sure that I was on my A game at all times. So, yeah, it took a lot from me, but a lot out of me to do all this, but it was well worth it. Um, so throughout the entire week, the 4 days my mom was here, um, we did the morning school drop off together. Now, what you got to understand is years back when my kids were young, really young, my mom, when she would come into town, that was her thing. She would like to take them to school. She'd like to spend time with them. And give me 1 second. Um, she would like to, spend time with them and go with me to take them to school. So she would walk them to school, to class. She would hang out with them. She would meet their friends. This was pre-COVID, obviously, when you could actually go on campus and play with the kids and talk and do all that stuff. So my mom would do that whenever she was in town. When Jaden was in daycare, she would go with me to drop him off, so she could spend a little time while she was in town and do all that and meet the lady who was taking care of him for daycare and whatnot. So these are all things that the kids remember. So my mom being back in town, it was very important that we kind of got back to that, even though it's been a few years. My mom really wanted to take all this time and just get back to what she remembers, what the kids remember, and spend quality time. So my mom got up with me every morning, and she would walk the kids to class. She would, talk. We would talk in the car, and then, she would walk Jaden up to his class. She, was very happy to give my son a hug and a kiss before his day started. And then Jordan, the same thing. Jordan, you can't really walk Jordan to class because he's in middle school now, so it's a drop off. But she was really happy to get out, give him a hug, kiss, tell him to have a great day. It doesn't sound like much, but I want to tell you guys how important that is to a grandmother. It's important. It's super important. That those are little things that grandmothers cherish, and me as a parent, those are things that I cherish too, because when they're gone, I'm gonna miss them. And trust me, I'm already thinking about the times that you know that that's gonna go away, and I'm gonna miss it. So these are small moments, but they're very, very important. um, these are times you don't ever get back, right? uh, So that was how we handled the morning drop-offs, and then we also did the afternoon pickups, and my mom would come with me and do all that. So the same thing. Now, me and my mom, when I lived in Colorado for a while, I lived out there for almost 5 years. There was a park, and we lived in North Glen, Colorado, and there was a park out there that had huge, beautiful pond, and there was always ducks and geese and swans and you name it, they were all out in this pond. And I would go with my mom and we would walk. But my mom has had knee problems for a while, but the doctor would always tell her you need to walk more to maintain your weight and also get that knee moving. You got to keep it moving. So I would go with my mom and walk with her. And these were special moments because I'll be honest with you, man. God, I'll be honest with you. Those were some very selfish moments, times during my time out there in Colorado. I hate admitting that. I absolutely hate it because when I was in Colorado, I was so focused on music, and I know that you have to give your all to whatever your craft is. You have to give your all to try to be successful. You can't have it no other way. But thinking back, I went so hard for my music that I didn't really give the time with my mom and my niece and my sister that much attention as I should have. Don't get me wrong, we had some great times. But me looking back, I could have been better. Everything I was doing in Colorado was literally for my music, when it should have been more about quality time with my sister, quality time with my niece, which I spent, quality time with my mom, and helping more. Instead, I spent the majority of my time out there trying to help my music career. And it did. I did help my music career. I toured, I traveled. I didn't start touring until I lived in Colorado, and I started touring all over. But looking back, I didn't give enough attention to my family. And that's hard to admit. So remembering these walks that I used to do with my mom, those were one of the things that me and my mom would do, where we would walk. Not every morning, but we would do it often. And we would just talk. She'd lock her arm under my arm, and we would talk, you know, about life, about, her growing up, the things that she saw, you know, things that, things that I, remember from growing up, things that I was trying to do, and she was always so supportive of me, you know, most moms are, you know, but she was always so supportive of me and what I was trying to do with my life. My mom always put herself on the back burner. Uh, you gotta understand, my mom, when I was doing, not that I stopped doing music, but when I was going 150 miles an hour for my music, I used to put my own CDs together. That's how I started my business. That's how my business started. I started doing stuff myself. I would buy all the material for CDs, the cases, the inserts, the CDs, and do all that. And then we would assemble them and even shrink wrap them at my house. My mom would sit there and shrink wrap and assemble hundreds and hundreds of CDs with me. And then we would box them up, and then I would go on the road and sell them. And I used to always tell her, you don't have to help me. But thinking back, realizing how much she insisted on helping me, that was a way for her to spend time with me because she knew this is what I love doing. And if she had to do this in order to have some more time with me, that's what she was willing to do. It's crazy to think about that. And it's crazy how I didn't catch on to that when I was in that moment. So we would do these walks and just talk about everything. And my mom always talked about that. My mom always talks about that when she calls me or when she sends me a message, that she misses our walks. She misses when she would tell me, she'll call me or text me sometime, hey, I went walking at the park that we always walked at. Remember the ducks? Remember this? Remember that? And I'd say, yeah. She's like, it's so beautiful out here right now. I wish you were here. When my mom got into town, the first day that we dropped my kids off at school, we have a park over here that you guys always see me on Instagram. I'm always walking, running, exercising. I take the kids there. Sometimes I go by myself. I took my mom there. I told my mom, you want to go for a walk? She said, yeah, let's do it. And we walked. And we did exactly what we used to do. We talked about life. We caught up. For God's sake, it's been over 3 years since I seen my mom. And we talked about everything. About my life, about her life, about the things that she thinks about now as she's gotten older. Tried to keep it upbeat, but it's hard. It's really hard, because when you've gone through so much, I shared with you guys, my mom was married twice to my father, and how rocky that was. And, now my family's got some other stuff going on. And then me going through what I've gone through with my family, it's hard to keep it upbeat, but we did. For the most part, we did. And I had to talk to her, and I shared this on one of the last podcasts, as we're walking, because we were supposed to go. We were scheduled to go to my in-laws' house, where my mother-in-law stays with my kid's mom. And we were going to go there because my mother-in-law is an amazing, amazing cook. She cooks so many different types of food. It's just, everybody goes to this house to eat. And so she knows that my mom loves her food, and she was insistent on making whatever my mom wanted. She just wanted her to come to eat because she hadn't seen her in so long. She's like, I know your mom likes this. I know your mom likes that. Whatever she wants, I'm going to buy it all, and then we'll just make it. Let me know when you want to come by. And, so that topic came up, and my mom, she got a little emotional because she said, I keep thinking about, she goes, I'm going to go. I want to go. I miss them. She goes, but I keep thinking that, the last time that I seen the boy's mom was when you guys were still married, and it wasn't a good time because there were signs that we weren't on a good path, and my mom being through it a couple of times, she could see it, so she was concerned. But that was the last time she had seen them, my in-law. And she's like, I know that we've gotten to a point where we can text and we can message on Facebook, and she's like, but I don't want to hurt your feelings. Like, what do I do? Like, when I get there, do I give them a hug? And I don't want you to be upset. And I go, why would I get upset? She's like, I don't know. She's like, a lot's happened and I haven't seen them in so long. And I want to make sure that I'm being sensitive to how you feel about everything. And I said, Mom, a lot of time has passed since then. And I said, and there was a time when I wasn't good. There was a time when I didn't think I was going to pull out. There was a time that I had a lot of anger and hate in my heart. I said, but it's not like that anymore. I have my moments where I flash back and I get a little upset because I feel like things could have worked and they should have worked, but I don't let myself sit there very long. But I told my mom, I said, we're fine. We're okay. We're friends now. And my mother-in-law still loves me. She does so many things for my children. I can't thank her enough. Um, we're in a better place, and I want you to understand that, and I want you to feel comfortable. When you go there, if you feel like giving a hug, saying I love you, saying I miss you, do whatever makes you feel good. All right? And honestly, if you were to tell me I don't feel comfortable yet, I don't really want to go, I would have that conversation with them and let them know it's going to take a little time for my mom because the last time she was here, you know, was when we were married. And she's like, no, I want to go. I said, okay. I just want you to know if that were the case, I wouldn't be upset. And she's like, no, I was just more concerned. I didn't want it to be awkward for anybody. I said, nah, you're going to be fine. Handle it the way you see fit, and I'm there. Don't worry about me. I've been in that house plenty of times since our divorce, and things have gotten better between us and the family, and we're good. But that was the main part of our conversation while we walked, and I think we walked a little over 2 miles or something like that. And it felt good to get back to spending that time. I mean, we caught up with so many things that I want to share here, that I am sharing here, and things that I just choose not to share, because there's just certain things that I'm like, God, that are going on that I'm not ready to talk about on here yet. And that's crazy because I talk about everything. Excuse me. Anyways, so that day, we went and had wonton soup, pho, egg rolls. You name it, my mother-in-law made it, and it was actually a great time. Everybody, when my mom showed up, she gave the boys' mom a hug. It was like we didn't skip a beat. My mother-in-law gave her a hug. They were all, they took pictures and whatnot. And she met the kid's cat. They love cats. She met the kid's cat. And it was just a good time. And I think the kids needed that. I think the kids needed to see that time healed everything. They needed to see that even though we have two separate homes now, that we're all grown enough to get past these things. So it was good. After that, we came back to my place. And I got to tell you, before I jump any further, because this is reminding me, we came home and played Uno. Well, the kids did. The kids played Uno with my mom. And the reason why I share that with you is because my kids they wanted to make a list of things that they wanted to do when my mom was in town. All right. So these are all the things I said, okay, these are the things Nana and Alyssa want to do, who's my niece. But what do you guys want to do? So we formulated a list of everything, to San Francisco, to checking out the mountains, which was Alamo Park, to doing morning walks, to dropping off at school, to taking pictures, to eating, playing Uno, the movies, have some ice cream, and they said, what was the last one? Oh, have fun, which I loved that Jaden added that to the list at the end. He said, have fun. Sounds so minor, right? Something a kid would say, but think of how big that is if you look at everything. Just have fun. Out of everything on that list, that one thing hit me. Have fun. And we did. we had fun. The kids played Uno with my mom that night. Uh, I was gonna cook dinner because it was a little later, and they were like, "We're full." We ate so much food at the in-laws' house that it was great. So, uh, so that was the first night, and then the following day, my niece kept saying, "I want to see the hills. I want to see the hills." So there's an area called Alum Rock where we can hike and mountain bike and do all that. So after I took the kids to school with my mom, we came back. My niece got ready, and I took them to Alum Rock, and that was I didn't know what to expect. I wanted to. My mom can't really hike because she walks with a cane now, but I was like, all right, well, we're gonna do an easy walk. I know an easy trail that we can do. That's a little under a mile, a little over a mile. It's pretty flat, and we'll see some things, take some pictures, and that'll be cool. What I didn't expect was to go there and literally see deer after deer after deer coming down from the hills down to where we were. And that's what was happening. We were walking this trail, and I'm talking about these deer. You could tell they were comfortable around people because they were coming down and eating and looking at us and taking pictures and all this. I had never seen so many deer, and I go to that park a lot, and I hike there, I mountain bike there, I've done everything that you could think of, and I don't think I've seen that many deer the entire time I've ever been there. Probably the coolest part, though, first of all, my niece enjoyed it. My mom enjoyed it. We took some beautiful pictures. There was so many beautiful little areas to take pictures, and I was making sure to snap every photo I could because it's about time and capturing moments, right? Uh, and that's what we were doing. But probably the coolest thing that happened uh, on this little walk, this little hike, is we came down to end the hike and we saw a man looked like he was training an owl. This owl was huge. But what we found out when we went over there, we asked him if he minded if we sat on a bench. He said totally fine. What we found out from this guy was this owl had been injured at the park, so they thought they could heal the owl and so he could fly away and survive out there. But what they realized was he was blind. So he was blind completely in one eye, and the other eye was about 70% blind. He could see gray and he could see shadows. So he wasn't able to make it in the wild. So they kept him, and they take him out randomly and on a leash, and they let him fly in circles. It's hard for him to fly because he can't really see. So they have this leash where they let him fly a little bit, and then when he lands, he kind of struggles. But they do that randomly to kind of get him out there, get him to spread his wings and whatnot. And he allowed us to sit there and watch this beautiful owl fly around and just land in front of us. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And the fact that we were able to sit there, me, my niece, and my mom, and watch this, I just felt like, when does this happen? Like, when do you get to do this? When do you get we got like a private show at a public park that, I don't know. Like I said, another one of these things where it's never happened. I've lived here for the majority of my life and been to this park so many times. Nothing like that has ever happened. And we got to sit there and just enjoy this and take pictures. And this guy walked up and started telling us the story of this owl and how long they live and all these things. And I think this owl was like almost 50 years old, which is crazy, right? But we enjoyed this, and that was our walk in the Alamo Park. And it made that time there magical, to be honest. It was absolutely amazing. After that, we packed things up, and then we went and we went for a drive, excuse me. Before we got the kids, we went on a drive around the city. My mom always likes to see what's new when she comes into town. I showed her the BART, which she was blown away, just completely, because she was here when the BART was actually built, but the station wasn't done yet. So now she's seen the station, which was right by where the kids' mom lives, and she was just blown away. She's like, "This takes you all the way to the city?" And we're like, "Yep." So she saw that. I took them around town. Showed them all the little cool murals that are around downtown that people paint, which she really likes artwork. So I was showing her that. She wanted to see the old home that we lived in when I was younger, because my place that I live in is really small, but this place that I live in reminded her of where we spent a lot of our time after the divorce. She divorced my dad. This place that we lived in was really small, and this where I'm at reminded her of that. So we drove by there. My niece hadn't seen it before, so we showed it to her, and she enjoyed it. She was like, "Wow, that little place." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, we made it work, when I was a kid." And so that was kind of cool. Brought back a lot of memories. I showed my niece the Shark Tank, which is the arena where the sharks play, and she took a bunch of pictures there. That's where we took the photo of this cover of this podcast that you see with the palm trees and us looking down. That photo, by the way, I want to make sure I say this. That photo idea was my son Jaden's idea. You're kind of getting the theme here. Like, this kid is super creative. His mind's always going. And he said, "Dad, put the phone down right here and let's look over it. Let's stand over it, all of us, and we'll get the palm trees." I said, "Okay, so just put it right." He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Now everybody stand around." So he organized that photo. That was not my idea. I'm usually the one that puts these ideas together, but when he's around, he kind of takes the reins on stuff like that. So that was his idea. So that's where we took that picture, right by the arena in downtown San Jose. My niece loves palm trees, and California has this thing. Anytime someone comes to California, they think palm trees. So she really wanted to see the neighborhoods that had palm trees. So I took her to the area over, what do they call it, the Rose Garden area, and where I used to have my old office. And there's palm trees in this neighborhood, these really high-end houses. Took her over there. We had a little photo shoot, and this was all for my niece. I wanted my niece to have fun and have a blast, and she's really photogenic, and and she always posts photos on Instagram with little captions and whatnot. And I just wanted her to have some amazing photos to share, when she got back home. And I think we did that. So it was really, really cool. After that, we picked up the kids, and then one of the things on the list was the pumpkin patch. So we went to the pumpkin patch. Pumpkin patches are expensive. If you're listening to this and you went to the pumpkin patch with your kids, or if you just went, aren't they expensive now? Like, I don't remember pumpkin patches being so expensive. But you know why they are? We didn't have slides and all that stuff when I was a kid. We didn't have paintball. What is it? A little paintball setup where you could actually shoot these targets and whatnot. We didn't have any of that. But that's what this one had. They had a bunch of blow-ups that you could slide down. They had a paintball target spot where you could, pay to get paintballs and shoot these targets. And then they had the pumpkins, right? Everything. I think we walked out of there and they got me for like $60, which was, okay, maybe not a lot to some people, but I don't remember ever spending $60 at a pumpkin patch. But they got me. But we had fun. It didn't matter. I enjoyed watching the kids run around, shooting the little paintball gun in the target area, going down the slides, racing each other, picking out their pumpkins that they wanted to carve. And then the patches always have these little areas we can take photos. So we did little photos there, and that was a good time. So we did that. The same day, my niece's birthday was a couple of weeks ago. And, obviously I wanted to send her something, but I was like, why don't we wait till she comes into town and we'll go and have a really nice dinner. So we chose Spaghetti Factory, which is always a good choice if you like Italian food. And we went to Spaghetti Factory later that day. And we sang happy birthday to my niece. By the way, not to get off on a tangent, but just to let you guys know, they would not sing happy birthday, or they said they could not sing happy birthday because of COVID. So I'll let that sink in, and you do what you want with that information. But I was kind of, me, I kind of laughed at that, and I was like, okay, no, I hear you. So they walked away, and, after we ate and everything, and then we got the ice cream with a little candle, and we sang happy birthday to her. Anyways, when we had first got there, though, me and my mom typically will have a little shot or a little drink. that's just something that we share together. As I've gotten older, it's kind of something that my mom feels real special about, having a drink with me. And, we're not heavy drinkers or anything like that, but it's something that we share. So I pulled my mom away from the table. I said, hey guys, we'll be right back. Mom, come here. And I wanted to make sure before I grabbed her that the bar had what I wanted, and it's a drink called Tuwaka, which is like a liqueur, and I learned about it when I moved to Colorado, and I wanted to make sure they had it. And the bartender didn't know what it was, and then I found the bottle, and he's like, "Wow, I've never even used this. Is this good?" And I said, "It's absolutely amazing." So I just poured over ice, and I went and grabbed my mom. Mom met me at the bar, and we had this drink together, and it was more of I just wanted my mom to know that I loved her and I missed her and I was glad she was in town. So that was important for me. Uh, and we did that. And we took a little photo and she was really happy about that. So that was how the dinner was for my niece, but that was how I, kind of tied it all in and let my mom know that, I know we don't have much time, but I love you, and I wanted to share this moment with you. And so it was good. My mom never had Tuwaka before, and she loved it. So this isn't an ad, but it's an ad. If you've never had Tuwaka, it's spelled Tuaca. If you've never had it over ice in a little shot glass, get you some. It's really, really good. Shout out to my boy, man, Rob Espinoza, out in Denver, Colorado. He's the one that put me up on that drink. I haven't seen him in years, and I don't know if he's ever going to listen to this or whatever. But Rob, I miss you, buddy, and I hope you and your family are doing well. I would love to hear from you. It's been so long. But yeah, Rob is the one that put me up on that in Denver, Colorado. I think we were at let me shout this bar out. We were at a bar, and I think it was called Minji's. Little hole in the wall bar. But we had a good time. And that was the first time I went out there. So it was called Minji's, I believe. Anyways, so I put up an Instagram. It was so funny. Like, I got on my Instagram when we parked at Spaghetti Factory. I'm backtracking real quick. I put up an Instagram when we parked, a story. And I started talking like it was going to be some in-depth, like, man, when my mom's in town, we do this, and I'm really glad. And but I got this idea. My mom said, "Hey," because we couldn't find parking. She goes, "Hey, I brought my handicap sign," because my mom has that for when she drives. I go, "You brought that?" And she goes, "Yeah, we can use it. We can park in front." And I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, "We don't have to walk far, and we can park in the front row." And so we put it on. And I go, "I got a funny idea." So I get on my Instagram and, I'm like, "Man, you guys know my mom's in town, it's been so long." And I start talking all serious, like I'm about to share some serious story. And I said, "But, the most important thing when my mom gets in town that we're just so happy when she's here is," and I just yell out, "Free parking, front row." And I'm holding her handicap sign and I'm just dying. And everybody in the car's like, "Woo!" And we're like, "Yes, this is the most important thing. We love it." And I had so many DMs of people absolutely dying. They were like, "Dude, I totally did not expect that." And they were just cracking up. And I don't know. I just wanted to share that, man, we were having fun, man. We're just living. And of course, I'm glad my mom's in town. Of course, that's not the most important thing. But I wanted to have fun with it. And my mom is always a good sport. And she was loving it and laughing. And we had a good time. And the people on my Instagram were cracking up and enjoying it as well. Anyways, so like I said, in between all this stuff I'm talking about, I was working. So later, when the kids go to sleep, they're here, and my mom and my niece go to sleep, I get up, get my coffee, and I was ride sharing in between I wanted to make sure that, hey, just keep the money coming in, man. Keep the money coming in. Got bills, you got this, got stuff going on, and you may want to do something extra while they're here. So let's just make sure that, you got some extra money. You know what I mean? As if there's such thing as extra money living in the Bay Area. I don't know if that's even true, but that's what I was doing. So I was literally getting about 4 hours of sleep every day. But it was fine because we were having a blast, and I was keeping that at the forefront of my thinking. Hey, you're going to be tired, but hey, you got 4 days. You're going to make this work. Um, the following day, we did our San Francisco trip. Now, remember I told you about the kids doing all their homework and doing all that stuff at school? Well, the kids knew, hey, because of traffic and going to the city, and the city's about 45, 50 minutes away from us, I said, hey, we are not going back to the house to change anything. The minute you guys get out, which was great, it works out because they had a half day that day. They get out at 1 o'clock. So I said, look, we're going to pick you guys up and we're going straight to the freeway and we're going straight to the city so we avoid traffic. All right, so we can have the most time there. And so that's what we did. We hopped in the car, picked up the kids, and hopped on the freeway. I was running errands after I had went and did an install for one of my clients, and called my mom. I said, "Hey, there's tuna under the cabinet. There's bread. There's hot dogs. Do me a favor. Can you whip something up? I'm bringing sandwich bags, and we'll bag them up." I said, "There's snacks. Do all that stuff. I bought some chips. I bought this." I said, I want to make sure that we have everything so when the kids come, because I know they're usually hungry after school, that we have food. So we did all that, had a nice big bag packed. It worked out perfect. The kids were hungry, so they ate in the car as we were going. And then we had food for the trip and had a good time. So we went to San Francisco, went to Lombard Street. I had never been down Lombard Street the entire time I lived in the Bay Area. And that was kind of a thing. Lombard Street, if you're not familiar with San Francisco, is the windy street that kind of goes in a little zigzag that's always on TV and that people talk about. It's kind of world famous. But that's what we did. I told my mom I have gone down that street or to go down that street plenty of times, but the line has always been so insane that I just never went down. Go figure, I take them. And there's no cars. We literally get to the top and we can just jump right in and start going down this little wind. So we did it. And then we took some pictures, which was kind of cool. My niece really wanted to see the Golden Gate Bridge. She wanted to take some photos. So we did that. We drove across the Golden Gate Bridge, took a bunch of photos at the viewpoint, hung out there. She loved it. And then we headed off to, they wanted to check out the beach. So we did that, but we went over to where it's called Land's End Trail, which is where you can hike, and there's beautiful trees, and there's some like abandoned little areas where the waves hit and graffiti and all this stuff. It's really picturesque. So we went there, took a bunch of pictures, and then we drove on down around the corner to Ocean Beach, hung out, and I gotta tell you, man, when I got to the beach, I just took it all in. I I kept my shoes on and everything because I wanted to just video and take photos. And my mom, took her shoes off, and my kids took their shoes off. So did my niece. They just kind of got their feet wet and were just walking through. But I watched my mom, and I could see that she was cherishing the moment. My mom wasn't saying much while she was on the beach. She was just walking down the water, picking up shells, looking out, walking with her cane, and I just kept watching her. And I could tell that she was just thankful to be here. And maybe part of her was sad because she knew it was going to be, winding up pretty soon. But I think for the most part, she was just taking it all in and just happy to be there, happy to be in the moment. And I was also taking it in, watching my kids run around. There were dogs that would come up, and they would grab the ball and throw the ball to these dogs that were fetching. My niece, taking her selfies and enjoying herself. And then I'm just literally enjoying it, trying to tell myself, enjoy this moment, take it all in. And that's what I was doing. And I don't know. You guys see the pictures on my Instagram. It was special. Just special, man. After the beach, we did my niece hadn't seen where the Warriors play because the Warriors moved from Oakland to San Francisco. They have a new stadium, Chase Arena, and it's literally right by Oracle Park, which is where the Giants play. My mom is a huge Giants fan. My mom, if you guys don't know or don't remember, my mom grew up in San Francisco. She's from there, Sunnydale Projects. She grew up over there as a kid, and used to sneak into Kezar Stadium to watch the watch the games and whatnot as a little crazy kid. But my niece hadn't seen the stadiums, and so we drove by the stadiums. She got to see Chase, which she was kind of blown away how big it was. They have so many little areas where you can take pictures. So we drove by there, drove by Oracle Park. There's really nowhere to park real quick at Oracle Park except a little bus area. So I told them real quick, I said, hey, you want to take pictures? I'm going to park. I'm going to stay in the car, put my hazards on. You guys can walk around and take pictures. If they, for some reason, tell me to go, then I'll meet you right around the corner right there, and you guys just hop in the car. They get out, my niece and my mom, and they're, going around by McCovey Cove, taking photos of the Juan Marichal statue, the Willie Mays statue, the palm trees, the stadium, all that. And I realize, as I look to my right, my mom is completely barefoot. My mom has not put on her socks or shoes from the beach in the car. And there are people walking around, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I yell out the car. I'm like, where are your shoes? And my niece goes, I told her. And I go, oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. She's literally walking around Oracle Park outside with no socks and shoes on, barefoot as hell. I just sat there and I laughed so hard because if any of you have been around my mom, if there's anybody who's listening that knows me personally, like off the internet, off the podcast, like you really know me, that is so my mom. And I was embarrassed, but I was laughing. I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop laughing because that's really her, barefoot. And so anyway, she jumps back in the car, and I'm busting her chops for that. And that was that. And then we came home, and by the time we got home, it was nighttime, and everybody was beat. They tried to watch a movie, I believe, but everybody crashed out. And I was going to drive that night, but man, that whole day just kicked my butt. So I just fell asleep with the boys. Now, I want to share something before I move on real quick. It's off topic, but it's not off topic. My son Jordan, this moment happened while my mom was in town and while I was working. That it said so many things to me because my son is so. Both of my kids are so loving. They have such big hearts, and Jordan said something to me that just really warmed my heart, man. And the kids were asleep one of the nights, and I went out and I drove. I drove for about 4 hours, and I got home around I don't know 2:30 in the morning. And when I came in, my kids were sleeping in my bed because my mom had and my niece had the other room. So they were sleeping with me. But I came back and I went to squeeze in between the boys and they were both sleeping. And as I'm squeezing in, Jordy is completely asleep, eyes not open. He lifts his head up and he goes, how was driving? And I said, what? And he goes, how was work? I said, it was good. It was okay. He goes, how many rides? And I go, not many. I mean, it wasn't super busy, but not many. But he goes, oh, were you safe? I said, yeah, I was safe. I was okay. He goes, okay, I love you. I said, okay, I love you too, buddy. He goes, good night. And the whole time his eyes weren't open, and he goes to sleep. That just man, that hit me in my heart, man, because it just made me hug him. Because he gets up half asleep and he's just like, Dad's home. How was it? Was it busy? Okay. Were you safe? Cool. Okay. Good night. Love you. I always share these little things with you guys, and they don't sound like big things, but to me they are. They really are. They're big things because it says a lot about my kids. It says a lot about how we raise them. And I say we because their mom has a lot to do with this as well. But it says a lot about how we raise them because how considerate they are and how to do something like that. And the next day, he doesn't even remember doing that. That he was doing that in the middle of his sleep. And he started laughing. He goes, "I said that?" I go, "Yeah, you said that." And he doesn't even remember. It's so funny. But anyways, our last day was, excuse me, was the school Halloween day. So my kids were gonna dress up for their Halloween little parade that they were gonna have at the school. Um, so per usual, this week we got up. My mom went with me to take the boys. They put their costumes on, took some pictures, took them to school, and then my mom wanted to see Alyssa's grandparents from my sister's side. So my sister's dad, because we have two different dads. My sister's dad's parents live in town in San Jose. So my mom, when she gets here, she usually always wants to go visit them real quick. And so I did. I took my mom over there. I dropped them off. I said, "Hey, I'll come back and get you once I get the kids, and we'll do that." So they went and hung out over there, and then we came back and picked the kids up later. One of the things on the list was having ice cream. My kids love ice cream, like most kids do. And so we took the kids and my mom and my niece to Baskin Robbins, and we got ice cream. And probably the coolest part is, my mom goes, "Do we eat in the car?" And per usual, we have this we always have a way we do things. And my son Jaden goes, "No, we sit on the curb." And my mom goes, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, where the car's parked, we sit around the curb and we just sit there and we enjoy our ice cream and we talk." So we all sat down on the curb and we just had our ice cream and talked and had fun. We took a couple of pictures and just hung out. And my mom enjoyed that. She just sat there. She got one of them waffle cones with the chocolate and the nuts, and she's eating that. And we got our cups that we're eating, and it was just cool, And my mom enjoyed that. It was another little, this is the day that they're actually leaving, so we're trying to squeeze in the remaining stuff now. So we do Baskin Robbins, and then we have pumpkin carving that we need to knock out. And we had to get that done because we got the pumpkins and my kids were like, "We got to carve pumpkins. I want to do it with Nana. I want to do it with Nana." And I said, "Okay." So we shot to the house and I said, "Okay, they've got 4 hours before we have to leave and get them to the airport." So I said, "Let's get these pumpkins started." So I set it up outside. We found the stencils that my sons wanted to use. I sketched it out on the pumpkins. Got them started. They started cleaning out the pumpkins. I went in the house, started cooking dinner, and I was chefing it up and running in between, going back outside, helping my son with the cutting of the eyes and the mouths and everything, and then helping out doing that, and then going back inside and making sure I wasn't burning the food, because we only had, like I said, 4 hours, so the pumpkin carving was going to take a little while. I wanted to make sure that they got on the plane and they had a full stomach. And I remember I was going to walk out to help them, and then I just stopped at the screen door of my door, and I just watched. And I watched them laughing, and I watched them all just carving away, and I just took it in again. If you notice throughout this story that I've been telling you guys, I've taken moments to where I just stop and take it in, and that's what I did. I stood there, and I watched my kids carving their pumpkins. I watched my mom carving her pumpkin. I watched my niece carving hers. And I just said, "Man." And I said, "Thank you." I literally thanked God. I looked up and I said, "Thank you." Because for a while I wasn't in a position to have moments like that. I didn't live in a spot where I could do that. I didn't have somewhere where we could all stay and enjoy this. And I'm very thankful for where I'm at now. And I always say it may not be much, but it's enough. And I just said thank you because I knew how special that moment was. Um, and I took it all in. Uh, with that being said, everything was carved. Food was done. I had to make something different for Jaden because he doesn't really like what we ate. So I whipped him up some fish sticks and and all that stuff and some rice and whatnot. Uh, and so he always feels special when I keep in mind that he doesn't like something else. He's not super picky, but with what I made, he's not really just a fan of it. So I accommodated him, and he liked that. Anyways, we cleaned up the pumpkin area, and then we ate outside. It was really nice outside, so everybody grabbed their plates, served. We sat outside and we ate, and we had our final dinner together before they left. And once that was done, we cleaned up. My mom was trying to clean dishes. I said, "Don't do that. Don't clean it. I got it. Don't worry about that. Just make sure you guys didn't leave anything. Make sure you guys got all the stuff that you need in your bags, and we'll get ready to go." Before I left, the lady that owns the house or lives in the house in front, uh, Patty, she's like I said, I coached her kid through baseball. Uh, we're really close. She got my mom a frame that it's something that it's for grandmothers. It had a little saying that says about how great being a grandmother is, and you can fit a 4x6 in there. So she says, "I got this for your mom," and she had it in a gift bag. And she was like, "I want to give it to you, but you got to get a picture printed and put it in there for her before she leaves." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, "You didn't have to do that." She's like, "I know, but I didn't get enough time to meet your mom and all this stuff, and I just want to get her something." So she did. Uh, so my last thing was get a photo for that frame. Uh, so I text the kid's mom. I said, "Hey, if I send you this photo, can you print it out? Are you home?" Because they have a good printer where they can print actual photos on glossy paper. And I said, "I need a photo. And before we go to the airport, I'd like to stop by real quick, grab that photo, pop it in, and then we're gone." She's like, "I'm home. I can do it." So she knocked it out. We got everything packed. The kids were gonna go with me to drop them off at the airport, and so we shot by the house. She printed a couple extra photos for them with the kids, and I took that photo. I popped it in a frame. My mom gave it to my mom. She loved it. That was the perfect cap off for the trip, and then we drove to the airport. Me and the kids and my niece and my mom, and they were flying out of Oakland, so we had about an hour ride. And we got there. We cried, but we lived a lifetime in those 4 days. Um, Man, it was special, and I gotta tell you, man, I was blown away how everything went off without a hitch. Like everything, we got it all done. We did everything that we were gonna try to do in 7 days. We did it in 4, and didn't run into a hiccup at all. And I gotta tell you, I was so thankful for that. Um, I took a cool picture of my kids hugging my mom before she left. Um, I'll probably frame that or put it on a canvas. It's an awesome picture. And then, I told my mom I loved her so much and I hope she had a great time. And she said, "I did. I'll never forget it." And I said, "Look, things are starting to ease up a little bit. We're going to make our way out there probably for the holidays and go out there." I told my niece I love her. I'm so happy that she came. And my niece, they did another Florida trip a few weeks back, or about a month ago. She took my mom on a little road trip to Florida, and my mom hadn't done that before. And I just told my niece I'm proud of her. She's doing well, and I love the fact that she's keeping my mom busy, keeping my mom active. Um, she's just a great kid, and she's not a kid no more, but she'll always be. She'll always be a kid to me, a baby. I don't have a daughter, but she's the closest thing I have to a daughter. Um, Anyways, we had a great time. It was special, and I wanted to share that with you guys on how to take these moments with your family, your friends, your loved ones, and cherish them. Make the best out of them. If you've got family coming into town, or if you're going out of town to visit, take it all in. If this last year and a half, 2 years hasn't taught you anything, it should teach you that time is of the essence. Time is a gift. Time is not something that is promised. It's just not. During this whole time, this trip and whatnot, I need you to understand something. I've got both of my grandfathers in the hospital. All right. My grandpa Paul, who is living with cancer and doesn't have much time, was in the hospital. He got out. He had to have a pacemaker. He's in his 90s, and he doesn't have much time to go. This is my mom's dad, and it's getting close. He's very hard of hearing. He's deaf, and he can't really hear very much, and so it's hard to talk to him on the phone because he can't hear anything. You have to really yell over the phone so he can hear. So that's what's going on with my grandfather Paul. My other grandfather Greg, who's a big reason why I am who I am today, who helped raise me. He was out of the hospital and then went back again, and he's not doing good either. He's in his 90s. He's having trouble breathing. He had, I believe, a blood clot or something in his lungs that they had to remove, and then he came back, and he's back in the hospital right as my mom was leaving. And I spoke to him on the phone, and he just, he isn't doing good, and for the first time in a long time, my grandfather cried on the phone to me. Not weeping, just, he told me he loved me. And he kept telling me he loved me. And I could hear him, breaking down a little bit, tearing up. And I told him I love him so much. And that he's going to get out of there. And I let my son Jaden talk to him because he was with me. And Jaden teared up a bit and said he loved him. But we know that they don't have much time left. And what you got to understand is they know that. They both know that. My grandfather Paul has told my mom that he's ready. My grandfather Greg has told me he's ready. Says he misses his wife. He's ready. And I've been teaching my kids about time. I just keep hammering it into them. Time. It's not promised. It's a gift. It's so special. You can't take it for granted. And Jordy always says this. He says, they lived a good life. That's a good life. That's a good life. My son says this all the time. You say, Dad, Grandpa Greg, man, he's going to be 92. Man, that's a good life. That's exactly what he says. And then he reminds me that if I happen to live as old as my Grandpa Greg or my Grandpa Paul, that I've got 45 years more to go. That's nuts. I said, thanks for reminding me. I said, I hope I'm blessed enough to live that long, Pop. Because I wanna meet your kids. And I wanna be a grandfather, and I wanna do all these things. I used to fear getting old. I never wanted to get old. I used to get mad, upset when people would call me an old head. When, young cats would have slick remarks, especially doing music. I used to get offended. I used to get pissed off. I went through a phase where I would dye my beard. Not because it was going gray, so to say. It goes red too, if you can see. It goes red, but now I'm getting in grays. And I'm just noticing different things about me that are showing age. And I used to think of, man, how am I going to stop this? And I don't do that no more. Now I'm more proud of things like having gray hair. Things like seeing these little wrinkles where my eyes are. And still being healthy for the most part. And being able to be active. But I don't have a desire to be young. Like, dress young. Look young. I don't have a desire to do that anymore. Because I look at me being 47 as a gift. As something that a lot of people don't get. You're not promised to live to your 92 like my grandfather. You're not. You're not promised to live another day. And I keep telling myself, remember that time is a gift. And when I remember that, I tell my kids, remember, time is a gift. Time is precious. If you take anything away from this episode, please understand that nothing lasts forever. And I know you hear that so many times from different people, but it is true. Your looks don't last forever. If you're a good-looking, tall, dark, and handsome man, or if you're a woman who's just shaped like a Coke bottle, just gorgeous from head to toe, these things don't last. They don't. One day you're going to wake up and you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to be a shell of what you used to be. Your children being babies, being little kids, doesn't last forever. Relationships, although we wish that they did, don't last forever. Not all of them. What you have been given is a gift, and that gift is time. So when you get a moment and you are doing something that you know is special, step back, take it all in. Just really take it all in and be thankful. And if you're young and you're listening, and maybe you're in high school or maybe you're in your 20s, trust me, when I was in my 20s, I thought I had all the time in the world. You don't. You really don't. If you're listening to this and you're that age, just keep in mind, you're not promised to make it all the way to your 90s. Okay? So take everything that you're doing and enjoy it. Take it all in. When you're young, enjoy it. Live it up. But remember, create these memories, but also cherish the time with your family. Cherish the time with your parents, your friends, your loved ones. And every stage of your life, remember to tell yourself that. Okay, I'm not a kid no more. Now I'm getting married. Cherish it. Okay, now I'm not only married, but I have kids. Cherish it. Now I'm an older man now. My kids are starting to have kids. Cherish it. All of these stages, remember to tell yourself, step back, slow things down, and take it all in. we never get it back. Time is a gift, one that not everybody gets. I watched this video of this father on TikTok who was sitting in his car and said, I miss taking my daughter to school. I miss giving my daughter advice about boys in high school. I miss paying her car note. I miss this, I miss that. And I miss being needed. And as he started to tear up, he said, but what she really needs from me now is to allow her to be an adult. And he said, and I just miss being needed. That smacked me when I watched this video. But he said he understood, and he loves her, and he'll always be there. It just really fed into what I was saying, is at some point we reach that end of the line, especially with kids, where they just need you to let them be adults and step back, and they'll need you again at some point, but not as much as they did when they were growing. Goes back to time, man. Goes back to time. I'll say it again. Growing old is a gift, and not one that everyone gets. That is all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys take something from this. I don't know. I know it's a lot to take in, but I just wanted to share this with you. It's been a very special past week for me and my kids, my mom and my niece, and I just felt like I needed to share this with you guys as a refresher and to remind you about time. All right? As always, you can check me out on my website at raymolina.com. My Instagram is It's Ray Molina. My TikTok is the same. It's Ray Molina. And the podcast Instagram is The Perfect Mess Pod. For those who would like to donate, I use Cash App. It's $ It's Ray Molina. I also do Venmo, PayPal, Zelle. You can DM me if you want to use either of those. Like I said, donations are not required, but they are appreciated. All right. I love you guys. I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Don't take time for granted. And like I always say, my life isn't perfect. Oftentimes it's a mess. But for me, it is the perfect mess. I love you guys. God bless. Peace.
Perfect mess is my perfect mess. Perfect mess is my perfect mess.